What I know about the brain phase is if you don't get that mercury out, you're not getting your life back. You're not getting your brain back. You're not getting your sleep back. You're not regulating your hormones. I always say your level of happiness and success is literally proportional to how much you're walking into your true identity, who God actually created you to be. The further you step into that, watch what happens to your career, your happiness, and your relationships.
Resilient, revolutionary, restored. Our guest today doesn't just talk about healing. He's lived through the battle, cracked the code, and returned to help others do the same.
I'm talking about cellular inflammation.
Daniel Pompa is a chiropractor and respected leader in cellular healing and detoxification.
Your body's too smart to eat good cells.
After a neurotoxic illness turned his life upside down, he fought his way back and made it his mission to find out what truly creates lasting wellness.
And I know that this is what I'm called to.
Today, he's a global health educator, author, and founder of the Pompa program, guiding thousands through cellular detox, intermittent fasting, and advanced nutrition protocols.
You have to take what you're doing and bring it to millions.
His groundbreaking approach has shifted the paradigm for doctors, biohackers, and everyday people seeking radical change. From illness to influence, Daniel Pompa's story is living proof that when you take control of your biology, you take back your life. Get ready. This conversation will redefine what you thought was possible in health, energy, and healing.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Mellow Millionaire. Today, I've got a good buddy of mine. He is amazing, Dr. Daniel Pompa. He and I got to know each other over the last year or two, and he's just, if you're not following him on Instagram and social media, the stories he's been through in his personal life, and we're going to talk about that. He's a man of faith like me, raising an amazing family. He's got 2 amazing dogs, grandkids now. So tell us a little bit about your history, about what happened in the family, about how you're so passionate about health.
Well, I lost everything. I lost my health, which led me to what I do today. I went bankrupt. I lost everything financially. Twice, once when I got sick and another incident. So here I sit from pain to purpose. So I wish I could say my life was just a bucket of roses. No, not so much. But, you know, pain to purpose. It was 1999. I got 2 silver fillings drilled out, 50% mercury in those fillings. Unknowing to me, days later, I didn't feel good. I just never correlated it to my dental appointment. 4 years later, I'm working with a very bright endocrinologist, and he says, I think you have mercury toxicity. A year before that, I was online, and I found something called Mad Hatter's disease. Do you know what that is? People making felt hats were using mercury, and they turned into Mad Hatters. I was a Mad Hatter. I had all the symptoms, right? Irritability, anxiety. Literally, most of it was in the brain. So those fillings, they give off a mercury vapor. If you're watching this, you don't believe me, Google the smoking tooth video. Smoking tooth video. Write it down, watch it.
Smoking tooth.
Because what it does, that's a 25-year-old filling. And the reason that's important is because many dentists will say,
but I believe you.
You're filling. I know, yeah, I'm just telling you for people that aren't. But that filling, they say, oh yeah, it's an old filling, all the mercury's gone. No, they took a 25-year-old filling, rubbed it with a pencil eraser behind or in front of a fluorescent screen, and you see the mercury vapor pouring off of that filling. You know where that vapor's going? It's going right into the brain. And it accumulates. Matter of fact, one of the main places it accumulates is the pituitary hypothalamus. What is that? That's the control tower for your hormones. That controls your adrenals. That controls your thyroid. I was trying to figure out the hormones down here when it was the control tower, and it runs the thyroid, and mercury literally accumulated there. So what I know about the brain phase is if you don't get that mercury out, you're not getting your life back. You're not getting your brain back. You're not getting your sleep back. You're not regulating your hormones. I have a saying, fix the cell, you get well. If you look at what these toxins are doing, and I'll keep it as simple as I can, our cells are designed by God to get rid of toxins day in, day out. Matter of fact, when your cells make energy, it makes waste. If you burn wood in a fireplace, you're making smoke. And if your damper's open, you're great. But the fact is if something closes the damper, now there's toxins built up in your house. That's what's happening in your cells. When toxins come into your cells, they literally smother the cell. They close the damper. And now we have toxins building up in the cell from the toxins that end up in there from what we take into our bodies, but also because the cell's making energy and the smoke can't get out. And therefore, now we have what we call endogenous toxicity. And now the detox pathways of our cells get lower and lower and lower. We get sicker and sicker and sicker. We make less and less cellular energy, more brain fog, more problems. And we're trying to do all these things, taking all these supplements, maybe hormones, all these things, trying to get better, changing our diet. And we still go, why do I still not feel well? You have a cellular issue. Fix the cell, you get well. The reason why people can't lose weight and are gaining weight, it's a cellular problem. You have to be able to get those hormones and your nutrition in the cell. In a cell that is toxic, is inflamed, and we've heard inflammation is the cause of all these diseases, but it's not the inflammation of the shoulder. It's the inflammation of all your cells that's stopping your hormones from getting in. It's stopping your nutrition from getting in. So you have to fix the cell to get well.
What's the process? We take a test?
Yeah, one of the first tests I do is just a cellular inflammation test. Do you have inflamed cells? And then, of course, what I've been teaching is how do we detox really? Because I think many people are into cleanses and detox today. But look, unless you're fixing what's going on in the cell, those detox pathways, you're not really detoxing.
What would my first 30 days, if I did have this inflammation, cellular inflammation, look like?
The first 30 days actually is we support all of those pathways that your cell uses to get rid of toxins. It's called a prep phase. We prepare you for the actual detox that's coming. We prepare you by doing two things. Upregulating these pathways. Okay, I don't want to bore people with the details. One's a methylation pathway. One's called glutathione, the cell membrane. We prepare that because that's where real detox is. Okay, and one other thing. We open up downstream detox pathways. What does that mean? We support the liver, the kidneys, the gut, the lymphatic system. That's the pathways that help toxins move out. So we prep the cell, we prep the detox pathways downstream. That's what happens month one. Month two, we start adding things called chelators. These are things that bind to toxins to carry them out. And then in month two, we force that cell to start actually getting rid of toxins. We don't do that at first. We want to prep all the pathways, but then we make the cell, we activate the detox. The cell starts getting rid of toxins. Here's the problem. You need vehicles to make sure that they move out of the body. Otherwise, you redistribute them.
Yeah,
you see how this is why 20 years of teaching doctors this, because people think a colon cleanse is a detox or a juice cleanse or this cleanse. It's not like that. It's like they don't understand that real detox is the cell. So we get that going. Then we use chelators and binders in different places to move the toxins all the way out. As simple as form, that's what we do. Now, there is a third phase. I call it the brain phase. That's where we go after the deep toxins. There's a study, one of the first studies done called the DRASH study, a German study. Ladies, the number of fillings, the silver fillings, they contain 50% mercury. Okay, so the number of fillings in mom's mouth on this study was proportional to how much mercury they found in the baby's brain.
Wow.
That came in utero. My point is that those pathways are challenged out of the gate, and now we start getting our other exposures.
I want to talk about killer cells, stem cells, 5-day cleanses, because I think this is awesome.
Well, there's a lot here.
I know.
Let's start with
we got 40 minutes.
Yeah. Let's start with the 5-day fast. I think the question you asked me is something unique that someone could do to massively impact their health. I'm like, fast. Okay, look, ancient cultures were forced to fast. They ran out of food. They had to conserve, right? And a fast could be extremely low calorie for a period of time. Low calorie long-term does not work. Very bad for your metabolism, bad for your health. But fasted or low calorie, which I would call famine for 5 days, impacts your health in a big way. We can talk about why. Or a pure water fast. I do 1 or 2 every year for 5 days, pure water. Now, I tell most people to start with a partial fast. That means getting your calories under 1,000. If you're smaller, maybe it's 800 or 500 per day. And then keeping your protein under 20 grams. If you're smaller, maybe it's under 15 grams per day. That's a partial fast. Now, what does this do? Why does it impact health so much? It creates something called autophagy. That means in a fasted state, you're not going to die. Your body gets energy from bad cells. That's the autophagy, meaning it's so smart that it won't eat cells that are good and healthy. It's so smart, it eats the bad ones. They're called senescent cells or zombie cells, meaning these are the cells that we all have to some degree that live too long, but they age us prematurely. They drive inflammation, all the symptoms we have, and they cause chronic disease. So therefore, if we had a way to measure, and there is a measurement of this, to looking at everybody's senescent cells, the person with the lowest is the healthiest in the room, has the best immunity. The person with the highest has hyperimmunity, typically autoimmune. They age prematurely. They look like they do. Okay, how do we lower them? Fast. The body gets rid of these senescent cells. So you're adding years to your life, one fast a year, and this is extended fast. So don't get confused. I'm not talking about a daily fast or intermittent fasting daily. I'm talking about an extended fast. I like 5 days for reasons. So one other thing of magic happens, well, more than that, but when you get rid of this bad cell, you stimulate a stem cell to replace it. So this is how you can get your body to come out of a state of autoimmune or hyperimmunity, because see, hyperimmunity, your body's cells are doing bad things. These are the senescent cells. They're causing hyperimmunity, responding to things in a hyper way, not good. You get rid of those cells, and then you produce a new one. They call it a naive cell. It's not hyper anymore. So you're bringing down hyperimmunity and raising up good immunity with these new cells. So you create a new you. And that's why fasting is something I've taught since, the early 2000s, learned mostly about it in the 90s when fasting wasn't in vogue. Now it is. But the fact is everybody should be fasting. We are genetically designed to fast. But you know what we're all in this country? Feast mode. We're all into feast mode.
Yep.
Yeah. You want to die sooner? You want to age faster than your friends and neighbors? Yeah, just keep feasting without fasting.
So easy. It's so easy. We're so spoiled eating big meals. One of the things that I've learned, and it's the hardest thing in the world, my father grew up in a family of 12 kids in Michigan. And if you didn't eat fast, you didn't get a second meal. You never had seconds. And it wasn't like these were big portions. So my dad always ate fast, with rightfully so.
Yeah.
He wanted seconds.
Yeah.
Number 6 out of 12. So I watched my dad eat, and it was like people think I came from like a prison or something. So slow down when you eat.
Yeah.
Don't eat big portions and chew. I don't know. Somebody told me 15 chews on everything, like to kind of process the food, especially if you're lots of protein. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, slower eating, well, a big thing's going to happen. You're going to get the signal from a hormone called ghrelin that you're full.
Yeah, that's the thing. I got to eat triple if I eat fast.
That's right. You take in way more before you actually get the signal to slow down. So if you eat slow, you're going to realize, oh yeah, I'm full, and you're going to stop sooner. Look, I said this earlier. I said caloric restriction doesn't work long term. It works short term, meaning people can lose weight by caloric restriction. But the problem is eventually the body thinks it's starving, and your metabolism goes slower and slower to save your life, literally. And then you're eating 800 calories, 500 calories a day, eating salads, wondering why you're skinny fat. You're losing muscle, and you still have this disgusting fat in the wrong places, right? So caloric restriction doesn't work. So I always say, don't eat less. Try eating less often.
So not a bunch of small meals.
Right. So that's a myth, right? I could have used that in the myth section here, but people are told eat more small meals. It keeps your metabolism up. It's a fast way to age, because it doesn't ever give your body a chance to metabolize, utilize your own fat for energy, right? So don't eat less often. At the end of the day, you'll eat less, because there's studies that show if you eat less, you live longer, right?
So intermittent fasting, fan of?
Yeah, so I am a fan of it, but here's the problem.
It cycles.
Yeah, because people are doing too much of it.
Yep.
Eating one meal always,
way.
and then the body thinks it's starving, and it starts to eat your muscle and hold on to its fat. So what I teach people is feast, famine cycling. So if you're intermittent fasting, have days where you do eat 3 meals. Maybe it's 1 or 2 days a week. Have days where you eat higher protein.
Always keep it guessing. Same thing at the gym.
Absolutely. Same thing. Exactly. The premise is called hormesis. It's probably a whole nother show we can do.
I was going to ask you, so in this book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, Chet Holmes talks about how he helped the carpet cleaning business. It was a commercial carpet cleaning business, and they said our average client comes back 18 months. And so they did a massive, massive expensive study that was able to prove that carpet will actually hold germs and make your place healthier. But after a certain amount of time, 6 months, it actually starts spreading germs and everyone gets sicker. So they took the frequency from 18 months to 6 months, was tripled the amount of times the carpet got cleaned. The reason I bring that up is because how do I make my house and my workplace healthier?
If you have carpet, I clean my carpets twice a year.
Right.
I do.
Every 6 months.
And by the way, I clean my HVAC twice a year, spring and fall, right? Because of the buildup of, dust, which now mold feeds from. Think about HVACs. You have warm air, cold air, and it gives some
musty,
moisture, but musty smell. Matter of fact, when you walk in a home, you smell that musty smell. Most of it's probably from the HVAC.
It's always like grandma's house.
Yeah.
It's never got
basements, right? Yeah, the old basement. But these HVAC systems, especially in humid areas, one of the tips I always tell people is put your thing not on auto, but put it on. It does two things. The coil, that's what cools the air. Right. So when it turns on and off, that's very cold. You know what happens if it's a hot day, humid day, and we put a cold glass of water here? What happens? It sweats. Yeah. That's what happens to the coil because it's cold and then, it's turned off and it sweats. So mold builds up on the coil. That's what you're smelling, but that's poisonous for you and your family. Big time. That's not a small toxin. That's a biotoxin, arguably more lethal than even mercury, and it ruins lives. So HVACs, you need to clean them. Keep your thing on, not auto. Big tip of the day, absolutely put in at least a MERV 8, that's a better filter. 10, MERV 10 or 13 is even better, but you want clean air. Okay, that's number one. Number two, clean carpets twice a year. I'm a fan of hardwood, but we talked about today. I said, you're building a new home. What did I tell you to put in? Do you remember? I won't put you on the spot because you're doing this and you're right. It's an air ventilator. It's called an ERV.
ERV.
Yeah, energy return ventilator. What does it do? We're building homes. You see these homes we're building, right? The plastic wrap that goes around them, right?
Yes.
Well, it's great to keep your costs down on your heating and cooling. However, it traps in chemicals and moisture. And in commercial buildings, by law, they have to put ERVs in. That bring stale air out and fresh air in. It's constant ventilation.
It's like the car or
Yeah, exactly. But the fact is in homes, residential, we do not have to put these in, so they don't. But the fact is you should. Every home I go in, I'm in the process of, getting a new home, making sure that the ERVs get put in. So energy return ventilator. Look, they have some, stand-up filters you should at least put in your bedroom, and make sure it has carbon filtration, not just HEPA, because carbon takes out the chemicals in the air. So there's some tips.
I love this stuff. I really want to dive in real quick. I love this conversation because everybody I know, my mom, my sister, a lot of my technicians, the miracle drug. What's the miracle drug?
Ozempic.
Ozempic. Let's go in. I know it does some good stuff. Number one, I have a couple friends that took it for alcohol, and they weren't drinking at all, which was great for that. I don't know what's worse, Ozempic or not drinking. I don't know. But there's a lot of the countries have accepted it, like even Europe. So tell me what your thoughts are.
Well, look, the reasons it can help certain conditions is because we have something called GLP-1 receptors, right? In our gut, there's certain bacteria that make GLP-1 hormone, and these receptors, need it. And so it's part of how we work. Okay. But when you start taking this, right, you start taking the hormone itself, the GLP-1, what happens is you start to affect your own body's production, right? And you start to get into you're taking too much, and your body's not just losing fat, it's losing muscle. It's affecting your joints. And I don't know if you saw what's going on the last couple of weeks. Now there's these people getting blind from it.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah. And again, I that was news to me. But fact is that when people stop, that's going to be a problem because now their metabolism is in trouble because they've lost so much muscle and tissue, good tissue, and that lowers metabolism. So short-term win, long-term problem. It sounds like a broken record. Do you remember I guess this was the early 2000s, was the HGP. Everyone was taking it was basically utilizing, it's a hormone from pregnant women, urine, and everyone was taking it for weight loss. It worked, just like Ozempic works, right? But the problem is when they came off of it, it was a hormone disaster. And we're going to see that. This Ozempic thing's going to blow up. It really is.
Yeah, I believe that. Talk to me real quick.
By the way, let me give people a solution and even a way to come off. There's a bacteria called Akkermansia. There's a company called Pendulum that makes it. Google it, find it. But it helps you make your own GLP-1. And that's why it works for weight loss.
Last thing I want to talk about is obviously you guys have worked hard to be extremely successful. You've done a great job on social media. You understand paid social. You understand to give a great offer, make sure. And plus, everybody, you've created raving fans because it works. But what advice would you give about business out there to someone that's just lackluster? They're just not getting it.
Well, look, the future is social media marketing. Reaching your clients in any field, you better understand the power of social media. The younger generation, they're not looking in the yellow pages. They're not looking at mailers. Yeah, they go one place to find their practitioner, their garage door guy, whatever it is, HVAC systems. They go on the internet and they find it. You better understand it. Listen, you don't have to understand it. You need to hire a team that understands it. And you need to bring this into your business in some aspect. Organic, listen, you can start organic traffic just like you did, Tommy. Just people listening, be the expert in garages just by getting on social media, right? I mean, you can start there, cost you nothing. But then understanding paid, how to advertise, you better get a team for that today. It's the future.
All right. I'm going to do my closeout questions here. Maybe give me a book on health and give me a book on business that really just not common, that really meant a lot to you.
I'm going to give you a not common one. And this is going to affected my business more than any business book I ever read. The name of the book is And David Perceived He Was King. All right. It's about identity. When I have coached doctors for 20 some years, and the biggest problem I see in someone who has all the information, wealth of knowledge, and yet still struggling in their business, it's an identity problem, meaning we were all given false identities as we grew up from loved ones, parents, siblings, coaches, teachers, whatever. People unknowing tell you something, your subconscious believes it. And we're living our life with a false identity. I always say your level of happiness and success is literally proportional to how much you're literally walking into your true identity, who God actually created you to be. The further you step into that, watch what happens to your career, your happiness, and your relationships. It's proportional. Therefore, how do we step in and find our true identity? And it'll transform you. When I'm teaching masterminds, I have people timeline their life. 2 different timelines. One for the hardest things that happen in your life, looking at maybe what you believed from those times and what God was showing you and praying about those times. And then also the successes timeline. Go back as far as you can on both in your childhood all the way to present. And I'm telling you, that's where you start looking at where God was communicating you. Pain to purpose, just like my life. But the fact is that as we step into that true identity, we start stepping into a new us. It's all mindset, everything, Tommy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything breakthrough-wise, what we are, who we are, the impact we're having. It is, I'm telling you, that you can tell people that are truly understand or walking in their true identity because they just resonate it. And you can tell people who aren't. They resonate something off and you just can't figure it out. It affects how you communicate. It affects who you are. The other health book, I would say, well, Kate Shanahan's Dark Calories.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, because people need to
You
understand
and get educated.
Yeah, on these rancid oils.
Going out to a restaurant like we did.
Absolutely. And what do we say? We're allergic to vegetable canola oil and all these. Because they stay. Here's why.
And butter.
You can eat a sugar, a dessert. Your body burns up the sugar. If you do that every day, not so good. But the fact is these oils stay in your cells, driving cellular inflammation. What I just taught you is the kiss of death for your health. And it stays in those membranes for months, not hours, not days, but months, driving cellular dysfunction, which means hormone disruption, which means brain fog, gut problems, everything, anxiety. That's another one. Change your water, change your oil, man. I'm telling you, you'll change your health.
All right, Dr. Pompa. Someone wants to reach out to you. There's several ways to do this. They reach out to you, reach out to your company, possibly go through the cellular repair.
Yeah.
But there's different things. So go through the best ways to get a hold of you.
Look, if you want to do a great teaching, it's free. If you go to pompaprogram.com, there's a whole teaching I did there. Same teaching I've been doing to doctors. Watch it. It'll transform you. And of course, you can find me on social media, Dr. Pompa.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening. Yeah. Hopefully you're going to take care of your health. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. There you go.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Thanks, Tommy.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Like always, we're going to close it out with the Tommy Truth, which is a little slice of wisdom from me to you that can help guide you in whatever you're striving towards right now. If you want to feel more connected to your work, your team, or your goals, this one shift will make all the difference in the world. Involve early. Bring your team into the process from the start. Let them create. Allow people to contribute their own ideas and solutions, and listen meticulously. Celebrate effort. Highlight the work that people are putting in. It's about efficiency. It's about growth, but it's about buy-in. When you get everybody's buy-in and they feel like they had a say in it, they're more committed to it, and they're going to work harder to make sure it's a reality. This is not about me manipulating people. It's about me getting buy-in and having people running in the same direction. When people feel like they've built something, they don't just value the result, they value their role in it. And that's it, guys. We'll talk to you next week.